Hello, hello.
Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to another Tuesday Live with Jen and Joe. And today we are super excited. We have a really awesome guest, somebody who doesn't know, but I was following him for a long time on social
Oh,
media. And it just came to the point where like we had to do business with him because he's so fantastic. So today we've got David Olds. And Dave, can you just do a quick introduction? I'm sure most people know
sure.
you, but there might be a couple
I,
people who don't.
I bet you most people don't know me.
I don't know about that.
And
You're
that's
everywhere.
I am well, yes. Yeah, so my name is David Olds, and I'm the owner and founder of Easy REI Closings. And what we are is we're a virtual transaction coordination company based out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. So what we do is we help people, just like all of you in this room, go from the point where you're under contract to closing. So we take all of the transactions, the title work, all of that administrative stuff off of your plate. And really, the most important thing to us is that it allows you to now go out and do more deals and make more money and really have more freedom. And you get that 25 or 30% of your time back where you were just felt like you were walking through quicksand or dying a death of a thousand cuts from title companies asking you for stuff that all of those things keep you from doing the part of the business, the business, right? The reason that we got into real estate investing, right? None of us left our 9 to 5 job to figure out monument of title, or where do I find a lost death certificate, or what happens when a mortgage, that's not released is still out there, but the company's gone, or what do I do with death certificates? Like all of these types of things, right? We got into this business to help sellers, get those things under contract and then take those contracts and either, close on them ourselves and keep them for long-term rentals or to sell those deals to our end buyer. Because that's the fun part of the business, right? Not the paperwork. Paperwork is the worst part of this business.
Well, and that's kind of the point. I will be quite honest with you. I wish I knew you 23 years ago when I got started, because being that TC, you'll hear that sometimes,
Yeah.
transaction coordinator. So when I write up a deal and I'm waiting to go to closing, there's a lot of in between things that happen that really bog up a lot of your time. It burns a lot of your brain cells trying to figure this all out on your own. And it gets to
Yeah.
be extremely frustrating at times because it feels like if you don't stay on top of some of these title companies or attorneys, your file just get thrown underneath lunch pail and never seen again, right? So
Yeah.
this was a role that I was doing myself personally.
Mhm.
So anytime my team would write up a deal, I would send this to the right attorney or title company, and I'm the one following up. Did you get this? Did you get that? Right? And it just became a lot of work. And then I hear this people called TCs. They're like, well, wait a second. We actually had somebody on our team that we tried with first.
Mhm.
And I'll be honest with you guys, there was a
Whoa, whoa, whoa. You
huge,
did try to say I should learn, and I quickly said,
oh yeah,
no shot. I am not taking that.
correction. I asked Jen to start doing this stuff, and she literally like threw
I
that
ran away.
face and was like,
Came back,
Yeah.
but
"Beat
no.
it, sucker." So
Yeah.
I tried to do this on my own challenge. Right? We hired somebody to kind of do this for us. Huge learning curve,
Yeah.
big challenge.
Well,
Right? A lot of
yeah.
obstacles.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like I tell people I own the company and I don't like doing it. Like the reason I started the company was because I needed a good resource. And then friends of mine were coming to me during COVID and saying, hey, we let a bunch of our people go. Can you help us solve these title problems? And we sort of fell backwards into starting this company. But yeah, I mean, it's difficult. And, if the owner of a business is doing it, that's probably the worst person, right? Because now you're being sidetracked into things that aren't helping you grow your business, right? Or even if you're just a solopreneur, like you're not getting your next contract, you're not getting that deal sold. And then even further, the challenge of hiring somebody else is if you don't understand it, how are you going to teach somebody else to do it? Like I couldn't change the spark plugs in any car, not even an old one that's simple. So how would I possibly teach somebody else how to do it? And then you get into this kind of blind leading the blind. And we've seen that happen a lot. And maybe you bring in some ex-realtor, whatever, right? Whoever it is to do your transactions, and they come and tell you, oh, hey, this can't be closed. And you believe them because they're your TC for whatever that means. And how many of those deals, that lost opportunity, how many of those are not getting closed because you don't have somebody who really understands the title process and how to navigate through, title issues and title curative stuff to get those deals over the line.
Well, this is where I figured you guys are free. We're going to go over this later on, but free to
Yeah.
us because when I had my own TC or when I was doing this myself,
Yeah.
if I was doing it myself, you're spending an hour a day if you're doing some deals, right?
Minimum.
If we hired somebody else to do it, now I'm spending an hour and a half a day because I'm still trying to figure all this stuff out, and then spend that extra half an hour teaching them what to do.
Yeah.
Even if it's an easy deal, right? Like it's just
There's-
still worth your time. Can I get you on record recording this?
It's we're live recording, so there ain't going
Yeah.
back on this.
The problem is you never know what's going to be easy and what's going to be
Right.
crazy complicated. And even a simple one, there are still, let's like the most basic deal, a cash deal, there's still things that have to be done. And you guys have a portal, so you can see all of the notes. I tell people, I'm like, listen, somebody's going to do all that work. It's either you or us, but somebody has to do these things to get these deals over the line. But even a very simple deal, you still need a seller information sheet, right? You still got to get their name, their forwarding address, their social, phone numbers. Are they married? If they're divorced, where's the divorce decree? Are there tenants? Who's got the lease? What's the security deposit? What's the monthly rent? Is there a property management company? Let's get that contact info so that because you're gonna have that security deposit released. Is it a mobile home? If it's a mobile home, we need serial numbers. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And this is what used to happen to me, because I was just starting, and first off, I was that guy who, like, nobody can do it better than me. I'm the smartest guy. I don't trust anybody. I'm going to do everything and work 18 hours a day. Okay, that's fine. If you don't want to scale, that's doable, right? And that certainly stunted our growth for quite a long time. But ultimately, there's just only so many hours in the day where you could do these types of things. And what would happen is, I found that I was maxing out at 3 to 5 deals a month. I wanted to scale, but I couldn't get past that, because when it's one or two people in your office, it was me and my wife, like, I'm doing the marketing, I'm doing acquisitions, I'm doing the disposition, I'm doing the transactions. Like, where is there time left to go do more deals?
Right.
There's not. And then, I send a contract over and it's okay, great. Is the seller married? Oh, shoot, I don't know. I stop what I'm doing. I go back. I call the seller. No, divorce. Awesome. Call the title company. Nope, good news. They're divorced. And they're like, well, now we trigger another question, right? Were they divorced before or after they bought the property? Right. Like, now I'm back. It's these questions that just go on and on and on. And if you're not experienced in title work, which who really is, it just really bogs you down.
Spot on. I mean,
Mhm.
absolutely spot on. Because it just feels like there's just one little roadblock in front of you. So to have somebody that you could turn over the keys to and let them do it was awesome, but scary at first, right? Because
Sure.
you were used to kind of doing everything, and you
Right.
don't know how well of a job they do until we signed up with you guys and started using you.
Yeah.
I,
We take that very, very seriously. As an investor for 21 years, like, I felt the frustration of, title companies lying to me and not doing what they're supposed to do and not having any sense of urgency. So, you guys, someone on here is old enough to remember the old Hair Club for Men commercial where the
I
guy,
do.
yeah, right. What's he say at the end? Not only am I the owner, but I'm a client.
Yep.
Right. Well, we were the first clients. Like, our company was the very first client. And then we brought in some of our really good friends, Nick Perry, Corey Geary, Robert Wensley, some of these people, and they were our first set of clients. But when we designed our company, we were very intentional, right? We knew what we were building it out to be. We knew that we wanted to be able to serve our clients in all 50 states. Nobody was doing that. In fact, I didn't even know transaction companies were a thing when I came up with this brilliant idea. So we knew we wanted to be in all 50 states, and we knew we had to be able to do all types of transactions, because that's what we did in our business, right? So I'm like, well, this is what everybody does, right? Everybody should do subject to and owner finance and wraps and land and, novations and wholesale. So we came out of the gate knowing that that was what we were going to do. We take it, again, very, very seriously. That's anybody would trust us with our deals, right? And because I'm the owner, like, I always look at it from our client's perspective, like, hey, is this something that is reasonable, that they should expect us to happen? And then, over time, there's so many things in the past where, I just felt like title companies misled us. They'd be like, oh, we're going to build this app and you're going to be able to track all of your deals. Never did it. So what was the first thing we did? We built that portal, and it doesn't have to be super complicated, but it's got to be a visual representation what's going on with my deal at any given time. And what I say to people is like, if you wake up at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday, tonight at 2 a.m., and you're in a freaking panic, what is going on with 123 Main Street? You can go to your portal, open it up, see all of the notes, the date, who, what was done, who touched it, their initials. You can see, you can read all of that and see the progression of everything that we are doing on your behalf, all of the documents that you give us, the documents that we have, just complete transparency, so that, there's never any question that, we're working on your behalf. And then the other thing, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, though, the reason why you know how to do all this stuff, and maybe some of you guys don't know, is, and I would like you to talk about, if you have a second, but how you built a multi-million-dollar portfolio starting with like nothing.
Yeah.
Right? Because now you've had the experience, though, to get into this role. It's not like you just said, oh, I'm going to wake up and be a TC. Like, you built this need for it, built on you building your portfolio, right?
Yeah. We have a pretty good sized portfolio. It's predominantly owner finance, a little bit of subject to, very little bank funding. But yeah, that's, when we started out, I tell people, like, if this is the level for broke, we were half. We didn't even have enough money to be considered broke. we were poorer than poor. And we had to hustle out of necessity. I tell people, I had a wife, 2 boys, and 3 fat dogs. Like, dogs needed cookies, man. We had to go out and figure out a way. But yeah, we started wholesale. Well, I was in Florida. We had full-time jobs. My wife and I, we were flipping properties kind of on the side, and the crash happened, and it's as bad as everybody says it was. What we just went through was not a crash by any stretch of the imagination. It was a minor correction. But yeah, we basically lost everything, had a house foreclosed on. We were in the process of moving to Chattanooga to restart our business and become full-time, which was crazy. I don't ever recommend anybody just quit your jobs or whatever, sell your house and move to another market. It was incredibly irresponsible. Terrible thing as a father and a husband to do, but luckily it worked out for us.
I feel like I'm being attacked on that, Dave.
Well, man, I'm going to tell you, it's like, I want to do what you did. I'm like, you do not want to do what I did. It was dumb.
It's a little crazy. I can vouch for that.
Yeah, thank goodness it worked, but it's bad. Like, it could have gone horribly wrong. But yeah, so we started wholesaling, and we kind of backed into owner finance deals because of the market and some different things. But yeah, we built a pretty sizable portfolio. So, we have experience in all of these types of deals even before we started, because it's the thing that I've been doing for 20 years. So we definitely understand how to navigate through the conundrums that come with these types of files.
And that was so important, because, when I've met with a couple of your team, and everybody, it's literally like they're holding my hand. I was very nervous. I didn't know what I was, getting into, because again, creative deals can be they can be a lot at times. And they were so well versed. They knew exactly, which title company or attorneys we already like to do business with. So that was reassuring. And, I have to commend you for the business you've built, because the people, and I'm a people person, the people have been fantastic. Everyone I've talked to is just going above and beyond. So kudos to you and your team.
It is all them. I tell people, like, I used to think I was really good at dispositions and then crazy title stuff. And like, I would get calls from like a lot of big investors with their issues. And now I'll be standing in the middle of our office, is 6,000 square foot, and I'll be in the middle of one of the teams, and I'll listen to them talk, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. I'm sure I would have thought of that. I'm like, oh, they're pretty good. Like Hannah and Shelly and Heather. I mean, absolutely amazing. And super lucky that we've found the team that we have. And it's as important to them as it is to me to make sure that all of our clients are taken care of. And we want your business to grow. Like, we want to help you kind of ascend to that next level. And obviously it's good for us, and definitely good for you.
Well, and I think that's the key, is you guys made it so simple. Jen was honestly, and myself too, we're always skeptical when you're going to sign up with a new service, because you hope it does well, but you're like, okay, how does this perform? And it was like, oh my gosh, I was so angry at myself for not calling you years ago and just be like, what was I thinking? You would have helped.
Appreciate that.
It cost us not to use you from all the deals that we did have written up and lost because of having a poor either me doing it or having somebody else try to do it.
Yeah, there are two ways that we say we'll help our clients do more deals. One is simply just taking that 25 or 30% of the administrative tasks off your plate so you can go focus on revenue generating activity, right? Going out and getting that next contract or selling that contract or working with your team or whatever it is, but working on the parts of your business that actually generate dollars and, make credit card swipe, right? Like putting checks in the bank. So there's that. So you'll see growth just from that. If you want to grow, and if you don't, that's okay too. We may not be the right solution. But the other side will be deals that were lost because somebody told you it couldn't be closed. And this was an incredible point of frustration for me when I first started wholesaling. There was this title company here in town. They only, when we came to Chattanooga to become wholesalers, there was no wholesaling. We were the first full-time wholesaling, the first of anybody to do it at scale. And by scale, I mean more than like 2 a year. So there was no investor community, but we found a title company that would do assignments. And I used to go over there, and this attorney's name was Jeremy, bald guy, heavyset guy. And I'd be like, Jeremy, got this new contract. And at least 30% of the time, he'd look at it and go, oh man, there's like somebody's dead here. You're gonna have to do a probate, or oh, this is in bankruptcy. You're just gonna have to wait and do this, or whatever it was. It was just constant, like over and over. I can't close this deal. I can't do this for you. I can't do this. And it was nothing more than felt like I was just crumbling up these contracts for 10, 15, $18,000 and throwing them away. And finally, one day I was just like, I don't know what happened. I was just at wit's end, and I'm standing there and I'm like, oh, come on, man. Like, I told this lady I would help her. What can we do? Like, is there anything we could do? What would you do if you were me? And that question sparked, a little bit of where we are today. He's like, well, man, I guess if you could get a death certificate and an obituary and all the heirs are willing to sign, and we get 2 disinterested parties to sign an affidavit of heirship, I guess we could get this closed. And I'm looking at it like, dude, I have thrown 15 contracts away that you told me we could not close. And you're telling me there was probably a way? Oh man, there's always a way. I'm like, right. So how frustrating is that? Right. So again, when I say I see it from your point of view, like I'm the guy, right? Like when I'm talking to our coordinators, I'm like, listen, like it's me, like I get it. So, when we're training up our coordinators, we teach them to not take no for an answer. Obviously, we can't force anything that, if it's a bad title, it's a bad title. We can't fix that. But to just be relentless and make sure that we have exhausted every means possible to get these deals over the line for our clients.
Oh, that's key, guys. Having somebody who has experience have your back. And if you think about those 15 contracts that you threw in the garbage, how much money that was, it gets to be where you want to do this sooner than later if you're planning on doing some deals. If you're looking to do your very first deal, hey, maybe you try to get your head banged in a few times in your own. It's healthy. Frustrating, but healthy.
You have to learn, right?
Right. But then after, like what you mentioned, Dave, is like you want to start doing this more than just doing like a deal a year. Maybe it's even like one a month or something like that. And we're going to go over that in a second. But here's one of the questions that always gets asked is like, you only do this where you live, right? You don't do this in all 50 states?
Yeah, man, all 50 states. And we're the only company, now I found out there are a couple other small ones, but we're the only company that's actually closed deals in all 50 states, which I never thought I'd be closing deals in Hawaii. Alaska's a little dicey. They're pretty peculiar up there. But the continental 48 all the time. We're in every state continuously. And we're juggling anywhere between 300 and 400 files at any one time across our team. But yeah, all 50 states and all transaction types.
Well, so this is what happened was we actually, I don't know if you know this, I think maybe I told you, I chatted with a few other TCs who have been reaching out to me saying, hey, I see you guys are looking for help. I could help you. And then Dave was the only one that said we could close in all 50 states. Yeah. When I look at the way his company was set up, they have an easy app that I could just at any point have anybody easily pull into, check it, or even just uploading the information, how easy that is. And that's one thing that Jenn said, okay, acquisitionist, like there's this portal, go ahead and upload all the information that you've gotten from the seller.
Yeah. And I tell people like, it's created for me. I'm not that smart. Like I'm just like everybody else. I wanted to make that as simple as possible, but give you all the information, but we're not overcomplicating things, right? Like our business, all of us in real estate, it's simple, right? We buy as low as we can, we sell as high as we can. You know, it's a very, we can explain it to a third grader in 5 minutes. It's people that make it complicated, right? So we're going to do everything we can on our side to not, you know, add any extra roadblocks in there, because sellers are going to do that, buyers are going to do that, lenders, there's plenty of other people that are going to squirrel up your world.
Well, that's the point. That was really it. It was like how simple you guys were, how efficient, how awesome your team was. And then we did that first deal, like, oh my gosh, it was
Yeah.
just, it was the best. So we definitely got to say,
Yeah, and you make it easy too, because if we partnered on a deal, it was really simple for our partner to be able to, be in
Yeah.
contact, and there wasn't any hiccups or going back and forth or who's on first, right? Because again, like the deal can be a little dicey at the end there sometimes when things come back, but your team again handled everything just so well.
Thank you. That's very, I do appreciate that. They work really hard. So, over the years, I told you the one problem was, oh, we're going to create this app. But the other struggle that I had, and again, because I've done all the stuff that you guys are doing, was, I would send a contract to a title company, and, oh, Sally's going to be your processor. Okay, great. So I call Sally in 2 days, and she's like, oh, Steve's handling it now. All right, great. Let me call Steve. And then, I get his voicemail. He's on vacation for 2 weeks. I should call Bob. Oh, I call Bob and he's like, oh man, I'm really busy. I just got your file. Call me in a couple days. I'm like, so it's that kind of whack-a-mole of who's got my, who's on first, right? Who's got my file. So, we knew that it was very important that, barring some extreme circumstance, when that file comes in and it's assigned to a coordinator, that coordinator is with it till the end of time, till this closes. Because again, compressing time. I don't want any delays in getting you paid, right? That's the most important thing to us. Is I want to go from the moment we're contracted to the moment you get your check or wire just as quickly as I can. And if all of you have done this before, we all put in our GPS an address that we're going to, and it's 3 hours and 4 minutes. What does every single person here say? I could do it faster.
oh yeah,
Single person, right? You don't have to raise your hand. So that's how we are always looking at it, right? What are our current KPIs? How many days is it to go from here to here to here? Like, how can we look at that and shrink that up?
Yeah.
How can we get, our client paid quicker?
And not have to, as the client, not have to really do much besides just once in a while check in on the app to see how everything's coming along. So now I can spend more time, like you mentioned earlier, income producing tasks.
Exactly.
Which you don't want to be doing this. You much rather be talking to sellers or looking at deals. So I was going to say though, that your service is stupid cheap, but I heard there's a way to offset the cost completely.
There is.
Can you tell me about that?
Yeah. So again, this comes from me being at a mastermind about 3 years ago. I was there and somebody was talking about having an administrative fee put into their contract to help offset costs. And he was like, yeah, I do $295. And I said, well, I was thinking about it on my way home. I'm like, if you could do $295, I could do $595. And at that time, Easy wasn't open yet. And I had a couple coordinators here. So I'm like, geez, if I could just offset some of this cost, let me do that. So I started. My partner at the time, who we've parted ways since then, he's like, that'll never work. I'm like, you know what? I think it will. So what I did is in my assignment contract or my selling contract, I just added this little line that says, buyer will pay a transaction administrative fee of $595. And I think 3 times in hundreds of deals, somebody's ever questioned it. So what that means is, instead of maybe my assignment being 20,000, now it's 20,595. So that's why we always say, if you're doing 2 to 3 deals a month, I can show you how this is free. Like, you're going to pay us, but then you're going to recoup that money from your end buyer. But if you do 5 deals and you're charging them $595, you can actually turn this into a profit center where you're making $1,200 or $1,300 a month. And then I've got some young kids who are like, they don't care. They got backbone of steel. They're like, $995 is our admin fee, and people are paying it. So, you can definitely outsource this, not have to deal with it, and, have really, like, I feel the best team in the country doing your stuff, and free you up, and then turn it into a profit center. So, we have some clients that are doing 15 deals a month. That equates to almost $47,000 a year in additional income. And they're
additional
not doing
income, y'all.
Additional income.
You make money from not having to do the TC part yourself. I hope you're catching on to this, but if you're doing some deals, you could actually have a TC company pay you.
100%, 100%. Well, I mean, it will come from your end buyer, but yeah, I mean, you can work it out.
But yes,
Even at 2 deals, if we're 16.25 a month, you make your transaction fee 850, and we're free. Like, and now, because here's the thing that we see all the time. One, the comment that we get most from our clients at about 30 to 45 days is, oh my God, I had no idea how much time this was taking up my life. This is the greatest thing ever that I don't have to do this anymore. So that's one. And then the other thing is, when we're talking to them on the front side to see if this would be a good fit and talking to them about what their goals are, is they just can't seem to get past that 2, 3, 4 deals a month because they're juggling a lot of stuff. So when we take that off their plate, now we see them start to grow their company and go, oh, well, I was doing 2 or 3 deals a month. Now I'm doing 5 or 6. Now I'm doing 8 or 9, right? Like they're able to start to grow because they can spend more time focused on doing the parts of the business that really matter, which is talking to more sellers and buyers.
well, and that was the name of the game. That was the part that flipped my brain. I was like, oh boy, okay, yeah, this totally makes sense. And once again, this is the only company I've heard that it's doing anything like this. So Dave is not only just a great investor, but he grew this TC company out of seeing a need in the industry, frustration of his deals. And I'm sure he's not the only one. So he recognized there was a huge need for this industry and then created something
Yeah,
for themselves,
yeah,
grew it, worked out the kinks, and then he started scaling, right?
yeah. We're growing super fast. I guess we're pretty close now to $120 million in transactions, over 2,600 files that we've handled. So, what I always tell people is the worst day you're having with the worst file ever, and you're at wit's end, you don't know how to solve that problem. That's a Tuesday for us
Mhm.
because this is all that our team does. And, the people that we go out and hire are not $10 an hour people. They're not. These are former title agents, abstractors, processors, mortgage people, collections people that are in the business. And, we are very specific and intentional about hiring people that understand how to navigate through the title curative process so that, again, I can get your deal closed fast. I will talk to our new coordinators when they come in. And the example I use is, listen, my client, little Bobby in Phoenix, this might be his only deal that's closing this month. Get this thing over the line as fast as possible because he's got a wife, he's got a girlfriend, he's got, hopefully not both, but he's got, kids and VAs and car payments and rent and all these things, right? Like we need these things to close because I remember what it was like to go to a title company and they'll be like, oh yeah, like it says, this thing is gonna, you have a closing date of November 31st. I'm like, yeah, but we have a cash buyer. Close this thing now. So that's what we talk to our coordinators about is if you've got a cash deal, and I've got my cash buyer and we're lined up, like I don't care if it's got 45 days left on the contract, push this thing through right now. Because also selfishly on our side, we're getting 30 or 40 contracts a day coming in. So I gotta get the old contracts out to make room for the new ones. Otherwise, we're like that I Love Lucy episode where she's trying to stack cakes. Right?
Well, and that's kind of the point too. I ran into the same incidents where we typically would write 45 days till closing, where
Yeah.
the seller says, hey, I need 45 days.
Yeah.
And then we find our cash buyer, we're ready to close because we're going to assign that deal to another buyer. And then the seller says, hey, I just found my new house. I need to close next week or sooner than the 45 days. And the other title companies will like, oh, we have it planned to close then. I know, a
Yeah.
month away. And that got to be really frustrating. So when I talked to you, that was one of the best things. You're like, hey, listen, like we have it set up. So like we want to get these things through as fast as possible. Because guys, I will tell you in any business, if you're in sales, time kills deals.
100%. I say that all the time. Time kills all deals. The more, I mean, think about it. Listen, I'm a chubby fella. I go to Publix or Walgreens or whatever it is, and I'm got my little cart and I throw some Oreos in there, and I think it's a great idea. By the time I get to the front, I'm like, I don't need no Oreos, right? And I'm gonna throw that out of my cart, right? Time kills all deals. And the longer people have to think about it, or some other investor calls your seller, or your buyer's like, oh, I found this other deal. I'll walk away from my $2,000 EMD because this is, we don't want that. We want to, spin the wheel of your business faster and faster and get these things closed very quickly. And so really the last thing that was a foundational tenet for us was, making sure that the transaction coordinator cared as much about your deal as you do. And the way that we decided to solve that problem was all of our TCs are paid on a blended pay system, meaning they get a salary plus a commission. So they actually get a commission. The day your deal funds, it goes on their commission sheet. So they are as interested in getting your deal closed as you are, right? There's never going to be a case where, you're going to feel like just your files just floating around on somebody's desk and they don't give a crud, right? I promise you, they are constantly on these things, trying to figure out, how do we solve this problem? How do we get this thing to the next step? How do we clear this title? And they want your deal to close just as badly as you do. Granted, they're not making a $40,000 assignment fee, but it still means a lot to them to make sure that deal closes. And we also keep stats on them as far as deals that close, time, and all that type of stuff. So we have little competitions here in the office to promote that.
What's your team look like?
They are, well, I think we've got, hang on, we just hired 3 more. We split into 2 different offices. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 16. I have 16 in office coordinators, our total. And then we don't use any VAs other than for just marketing. I've got Heather, my VP of operations, and we've got a sales team. So yeah, we're a pretty good size office. Everybody does come into the office. We don't allow anybody to work virtual. We don't use any VAs or anything like that. So, I like that. I'm just older, so I like that kind of everybody around the campfire, crowdsource mentality of, somebody's like, hey, I'm doing this thing over in Ohio. Has anybody done that? Oh yeah, I did that the other day. Here's the answer. Right. So we get that kind of hive mind collective going too.
Bravo. So you could definitely take on some new business, y'all. So
Oh,
if
yeah,
somebody wants to do business with Dave, what's the best way to reach out to you?
I think you guys have got a link that maybe you can drop in the chat here.
Perfect.
Maybe.
Yeah, we'll do that.
We'll make sure we drop that link in there.
Yeah.
And 2 questions I see in the comments down below. Dave, do you train TCs?
I don't. And to kind of go back to what we talked about earlier, like to being a TC in and of itself, no different than being a wholesaler. Like pretty simple. You can figure it out. That the title company probably has a seller information sheet. You can get that filled out and sent to the title company. But then it's the other stuff, right? What do I do in death, divorce, probate, all of those types of things. And then even the next level beyond that is there are 50 states with 50 different sets of laws and 3,000 counties who all like to do it just a little bit different. So I don't train TCs. It's just not what we do. It's everything I could do to, keep training our own and upgrading them and doing all that type of stuff. So I wish we did. We get that question a lot, but I'm not, I've got some courses out there on like Dispo and stuff. I'm not sure what a TC course would even look like, I don't think I could give you everything. I think just some of that you have to know. And that's why we hire in really experienced people.
Right. Well, and I think that's key, is having the right team, right? And obviously it's a lot to learn.
Oh, thanks. Trace just dropped our link for us there. Thank you, Trace.
Yeah. And here's what I would ask you, like, about training your own TC. Like, why would you want to? Like really, I mean, I get it's a control thing because I'm that guy. But one, you're going to spend a bunch of time on Indeed doing ads. You're going to send out interview requests. 50% of those people aren't going to show up. You're going to spend a bunch of time interviewing. You're going to send out offer letters. You're going to have to hire them, train them. Now you got W-2 or W-4, whatever the payroll is. And then you're going to have to constantly be training them and managing them. Like that's 10 things. That's a lot. You can have us tomorrow working on your files at a fraction of the cost. So, I mean, you certainly can. I'm never one to dissuade anybody from having their own in-house TC. That's how we started. But it's a lot of work.
I'd advise you not.
Yeah, I would say hire an executive assistant and spend your time training that person, and then let the TC handle the TC. Like you guys are pros.
Yeah. And that's, typically people who come to us who had a TC in-house who maybe wasn't doing a great job, but they trusted that person, they'll hire us. That person becomes our point of contact, but then they can sort of ascend them to some higher level executive assistant type stuff, planning travel, and, just all the different things that you need around your office, and let us handle the title work stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And so Rishi brings up a great question. Do you have a preferred list of titles/escrow companies for each state for creative finance deals?
Yeah. We have 383 title companies across the country. And it's a lot. So here is, in the fantasy of my mind, how I started this company on a whiteboard, right? I said, we're going to find a nationwide title company. And then we have 2 guys now, but I'm like, all the girls will they'll have one point of contact. It's going to be perfect. And we interviewed a couple of nationwide title companies. Some of them are out of business now. And they're like, yeah, absolutely. We could take all your business. So we sent them like 30 files in a week and we broke them. Because here's the thing, they all say they want all the business, but realistically, everybody has bandwidth, right? There's only so much that we could dump on somebody. There's no way I could dump 400 files on somebody tomorrow. So we realized that didn't work. And there is no nationwide title company that's a solution for everything. So now we get beyond that. And I didn't want our team to have to deal with 300 title companies. That was never my intention, but they prefer it because what happens is, let's say we go to West Virginia and we have a title company that does wholesale deals. Fantastic. We're up and running. And now we've got somebody with a novation deal and we're like, hey, can you do novation? They're like, oh, I don't really do that. So now we've had to go out and find somebody else. So we onboard title companies the same way we do our clients. We're very particular. And if it's like a novation, right? Because paperwork's kind of funny on those, we make sure that they have to send us 3 HUDs. They can black out names and stuff, but I want to see 3 HUDs that show me you know how to do this deal. Because again, I take it very serious that you're going to trust me with your deal. And if I tell you that we're going to close and a week before closing, the title company calls me and they're like, whoopsie, we're not going to be able to do this for you. And your $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 novation fee or assignment fee goes out the window, man, you're going to be pissed. And as you should be, right?
Right.
So within that, we wanted to make sure we had title companies that could do all of the different things in all of the different states and backups. Like we will not ever overload one title company because we've done it before. And that does not allow me to compress time, right? It does not. If they fall apart, if we break them, that we're just doing disservice to them and to our clients.
Right. And not to keep all your eggs in one basket, guys. So, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've honestly made it so easy for me because that's like the number one question I get is, well, do you have a title company in this state or who do I use here? And I'm like, you guys just need to go see Easy REI closings and take it from there.
Honestly, people ask me all the time. I get messages all the time. I need a title company in Ohio. I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm the guy that's on Zooms. You want Hannah or Heather, one of the really smart people to do that. I don't have those answers, but people ask me all the time.
I don't know how you can. I mean, if you guys follow Dave on Instagram or anything like that, like this dude is always on the move.
Yeah, I was like, oh, you're just getting back from someplace and here you are today. So it was just awesome to see you. It would make time for us because I know you're a busy guy.
And then we see you next week here in Florida.
In Tampa, I'm so excited. That's where we met the first time. Yeah, I just did 12 days in Texas and then got back Sunday night and we're working here, busy week this week. And then we leave Saturday to run down there. And then, so we've got the event we're going to be at till Wednesday. And then I'm doing a speaking thing Thursday somewhere in Tampa and then out in Clearwater with another coach at his event. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff. It's all good.
That's pretty awesome. I'm not going to lie. When I was following Dave for so long on like social media. So like he's actually part of the same mastermind. I was like, oh my gosh, there's Dave. I gotta go say hi. So
stop it.
So glad I did. Yeah, you were busy working too. It wasn't like you're all like, high five. You were cramming working your tail off on something.
Remember I was in that side room and I remember you came by because you had said you wanted to chat. And I'm like, oh, man, I'm on this Zoom. I'm sorry. Give me just a minute. And I know you got tied up and sidetracked probably by somebody else.
Yeah. So no, I'm just glad. I'm so happy we were able to make that connection. So cool that we get to see you again next week.
Yeah.
With a lot of other cool people there too.
Yeah. We talk a lot about, only do business with people that you enjoy doing business with, and you live that out. And so I just want to say that once again, guys, because there's a lot of people in this industry. Find your tribe and love them hard.
That is so true. I tell people like I'm at a point in my life where I only have to do business with people I like. Thank goodness. And we certainly love helping you and your students too. But yeah, it's life's too short to deal with people who are pain in the butt.
Awesome. Well, I know you're a busy guy. I appreciate you coming out today.
Yeah.
I know you got a lot of stuff to do because like you said, you just got back and now you're about to leave again. So we gotta let you get some work done.
That's okay. And does anybody have any other questions? Like any creative stuff, sales stuff, like any dispo stuff? Anything I can answer for you?
There was one question here. What will you do if you have a seller open to me taking over the payments and pay the equity in payments, but he needs to take his wife off of the deed? The numbers are $300,000 loan and $200,000 equity.
Well, the first question is going to be on the loan. Is the wife on the loan? Because if she's on the loan, they're not going to let you take her off.
Right.
Yeah.
Am I listening to that correctly? Like, so I don't know that that's, yeah, and I'd have to look at it. Happy to look at it if you want to shoot it over to me. But yeah, if she's tied to the loan, like we have plenty of deals where the wife is just on the title but not on the loan. You could probably get her off. But like, what's the reason for wanting to take the wife off?
That's a great
Is
Wonder if
question.
she
My
probably
my
wanted
question would my thought is that she doesn't want to be tied to the loan,
Mhm.
which means she's on it.
Right.
And there are times where sub two is difficult because of stuff like this.
Yeah,
Right. And
we
so
know that.
believe me, I've got one right now we're working on here in Florida for a while.
Uh-huh.
So do we reach out to him first, who refers us to a title company, or how does this process work?
Sure. So I'll explain it to you. So once you're a client of ours, and you can click that link below, and that will you can book a call with our sales team, and we'll jump on. Would love to talk to you about what you did this year, what your goal for the end of the year and for 2024 is. We'll talk to you about what you're doing currently for your TC work, and then we'll talk about how we can help you and if it would be a good fit. But once you're a client of ours, like literally the next day, we can take over the existing files, and existing files are always difficult, right? It's like riding a bike trying to jump on a moving train. But we'll start certainly taking on all of your new files. And the way it works is, Jen and Joe, you guys have that portal. It's very simple. It's literally you're going to drag and drop your contract into the portal. It's going to pop up on our side, and it's going to be assigned to a title company immediately, as well as a coordinator right off the bat. That coordinator within 24 hours has to call Mrs. Smith, right? So the conversation will be something like, hey, Mrs. Smith, this is David with Easy REI Closing. I work with Jen, and we're working on your deal at 123 Main Street. Mrs. Smith, I'm going to be your point of contact from here all the way till closing. So Jen, you're out. Mrs. Smith, I need to, based on what you were going to tell me about this deal, Mrs. Smith, I need to collect some information for the title company, a little bit of paperwork so we can get you paid just as quickly as possible, right? We're always moving them towards getting paid. We want to keep them, on board. So, we're going to collect all that information at the very end. Mrs. Smith, what's the best way for me to communicate with you? I want to make sure I'm touching base with you at least once a week and letting you know, where we're at in our progress. So sometimes it's phone, text, or email. Usually, believe it or not, they just want email. And just once a week, our coordinator will, hey, Mrs. Smith, just wanted to let you know, we've got our contract closing date of October 15th, and everything is on track and we're moving in that direction. So yeah, we will assign the title company and the coordinator as soon as we get your file. When we do your onboarding, if you have a title company that you absolutely love in Fort Lauderdale and you think they're great, we are happy to give them a call and see if we can onboard them. Like we have no problem with that. We are always on the hunt for new title companies. So, let's just say this is a wholesale deal because that's the easiest to explain. So I've collected all of Mrs. Smith's information. You're out. Jen, you go get your next deal under contract or work on selling this deal. When you have your buyer, same thing. You're going to upload that contract. I'm going to say, hey, hey, Steve, this is David, Easy REI Closings, working with Jen on this deal over at 123 Main Street. Hey, man, looks like this is you're closing this in your LLC. Great. I need your LLC docs. You're using RCN Capital for your hard money. Perfect. Who's your contact over there? Let me get that over to the title company. Let's get this thing closed just as quick as we can so you can get started. So we're going to do all of that stuff kind of behind the curtain at the Wizard of Oz, so that you are freed up to working on your deals.
Oh,
That's it.
that just sounds like a relief
I mean,
already.
it's like tag, you're it, right? You get to take it from there, and that's such a beautiful feeling,
Yeah.
guys. I cannot stress that enough.
Yeah, because you don't realize what that process is like until you close deals, and especially if you start doing volume of deals, it takes up a lot of time.
You taking the seller
And
from there to answer those questions, especially in creative deals, like, oh, it's just so helpful.
And that constant
Yeah. And
contact,
what
guys,
happens-
is key. Sorry, Dave. I just want to say that though. That constant
No, you're
contact is
good.
key, because if you have closing in 30 days and that seller doesn't hear from you in those 30 days, who knows what happened? They might have sold that property 15 other times, or who knows what else is going on.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. So often I hear people like, oh, this guy snaked my deal. And in reality, I don't think that's what it is. I mean, there are unscrupulous people. I don't live in fantasy land, but I think most of the problem is we're all busy, right? We're trying to do everything, right? Remember, I'm the guy, I got to do everything. I got to work 18 hours a day. And what happens is you get Mrs. Smith under contract, and now you're doing your other deals, you're just doing, you're juggling too much stuff. And 5 weeks later, you call Mrs. Smith and go, hey, good news, we're ready to close next Tuesday. And she's like, who is this?
Mhm.
Yep.
What? Tuesday? I'm not packed. I haven't heard from you. I didn't know we were doing anything. Or even worse, maybe 3 weeks in, 4 weeks in, you haven't called her. And Kevin calls her and is like, hey, Mrs. Smith, I'm buying houses in your area. I'd love to know if you're interested in selling. Not because he's trying to take your deal, but because she's on the same list that you got her from, right? Like all these people are on the same list. And she's like, well, I was gonna sell my house to David. Cute guy, sounds good on the phone, but man, I haven't heard from him. So yeah, I'll sign a contract with you, because they don't understand. To us, this is all very normal stuff, but the typical seller only sells a house 2 to 3 times a year or a lifetime. So this is all completely foreign, and they don't sometimes understand that, hey, this is a binding contract, and I can't be talking to other people and selling it to somebody else. They just think you ghosted them. All right. So
Guys, and we just had this happen to us, and I'm talking in a way, they signed with a buyer hours before we signed with them.
A seller did. Yep.
The seller did. Okay. So we were going to buy a property, and the lady's like, oh, I already signed an agreement with somebody else. So like when you're dealing with a seller, there's a lot of things that go on. So when you make that deal, to have Dave's company reach out to the seller within the first 24 hours to say, hi, that tap, I'm going to need to be working on you. It feels like they now are invested. They know that's a deal.
Yeah.
Right. So that's just part of just finalizing that deal, and not just making that today and praying to closing. Because I will tell you, you will close less deals if you do that. Right. If you want to close more deals, it's that contact. It's that right after you make the deal, now somebody else reached out to confirm this, and I'm collecting information to move this forward. They're going to be a lot less likely to talk to anybody else after that. So just some words of wisdom for everybody. So bravo, Dave.
Yeah, and here's something I would tell you guys. I'm going to give you some advice, and this goes for all parts of your business: acquisitions, marketing, buying, selling, whatever it is when you're talking to somebody, Joe, we're talking, hey Joe, congratulations, we're under contract. Here's what's going to happen next. Hey, Mr. Buyer, here's what's going to happen next. You got to tell people what the next step is, because again, they are not familiar with what's happening here. And I don't want to sound wrong, but like, people are dopey. Like, they're kind of busy, and if you don't tell them what the next step is, like, they're not going to do anything, right? So if you don't set that next expectation, so even like on the disposition side, hey, I'm going to go ahead and send you this a link to my website over. Take a look at the property, and can you give me a call back in the next 30 minutes? Okay, yeah, right, because now they've made a commitment. And now we're getting into NLP and some other stuff, but now somebody's made a commitment, they verbalized it. So unless they're psychotic, they're going to at least feel bad about not calling you back in the next 30 minutes. But you have to tell people, hey, here's the next step. And that applies all the way across the board with your team members, with your clients, with, whoever it is. Hey, here's the next step, Mrs. Smith. Somebody from our transactions team will give you a call within the next 24 hours, and they'll be your point of contact, and they're going to hold your hand from here all the way till closing. But if you ever need anything, you can always certainly call me back. Boom. Now you set that stage for that
Beautiful.
that baton handoff from you to us.
Awesome. All right, 2 last questions.
Yeah, let's go.
Do you call the bank to reinstate the loan?
To reinstate the loan, we can, yes, we can show them the contract, we can show them the HUD, and if the bank will, if they will work with us, because they're all just a little bit different. So this is a question that we get every so often, and some banks, some attorneys, foreclosure, bankruptcy, trustees, they can be a little funny, and sometimes it has to actually be the seller. So because that's the person who the account is with. If we can do it, 100% we will. If not, we will get the seller on the phone and coach them through it.
Wow, but you help guide that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Good question. Another great one. Do they file the memorandum for you after you get a deal under contract, so it clouds the title and can't be sold to someone else?
Okay, let's talk about that. Yes is the short answer. But let's talk a little bit about clouding title. So because I'm a person who's been a victim of that, and I had to actually do a quiet title, I'm kind of sensitive to it. I'm not on the plan of let's file a memo on every single property that we touch, because you're literally leaving a trail of destruction behind you. We don't force people to do this, but I tell you, like, if you want to file this, like, I highly recommend go ahead and sign the release right now, because if you don't close on it, you should release that property. You should release that seller. Now, if it's the seller refuses to perform, different story, leave it on there, lock it up if that's what you want. But if you can't find a buyer or you decide not to close on it, I think it's your obligation as a good investor to release that and not hold that seller hostage down the road for money. My personal opinion, y'all run your business however you want. But the next thing I'll tell you is, at least in the state of Tennessee, memos and notices, they're very much under attack, and new legislation was just passed to prevent unscrupulous people, shall we say, from filing memos, because it's gotten a little bit out of control, not just with real estate investors, but with like, people doing kind of like instead of a mechanic's lien, they're filing notices. Like, it's getting a little bit squirrely out there. So, because of that, this is why there are all these laws that are kind of chopping away at wholesaling and investing. So will we do it? Yes, is the short answer.
You are such a wealth
Sorry,
of knowledge. Thank
that
you
was
for
that
that.
was a longer answer than I know you wanted.
No, but I
But
think it's necessary. It's something that doesn't get talked about probably enough. And, it's just really important to share those tidbits.
yeah, the thing about investing is, the great thing about wholesaling and being an investor is very low barrier of entry, right? Like, again, I started at half a broke, like dead broke. And it's allowed us and my family to have this amazing life, probably a better life than we deserve, right? We've been around the world, we've done all of these great things. So, I'm a strong believer in real estate. I think it's a great equalizer. Anybody, no matter what your background is, what your skin color is, whether you're tall, skinny, short, fat, whatever it is, you can make a lot of money in real estate. And that's what's great. It's also the thing that's bad about wholesaling, is it's such a low barrier of entry that bad people can be in this business and really take advantage of people. And us as investors, we need to find a way to kind of monitor that, because if we don't, like, it's going to get worse instead of better. It's never going to get better, right? And the thing I always say is, there's going to be a day where somebody takes advantage of a US senator's niece and we're done. That's it. Because we are not a constituency. Democrats or Republicans, neither one of them give a hoot about us. They are going to crush us under their boot like there is no tomorrow. So, I think we need to be careful. I think guys like Jerry Norton, who are trying to come up with some type of association to sort of standardize what we do, I think that's a good thing. Because otherwise we're going to be left to the bureaucrats who are going to, make us all get licensed, which is the wrong solution to the right problem. Or God knows what else they'll do to us. So again, I know you didn't ask for that, but that's just me chiming in.
No, it's very thorough. And as the market changes, as this business changes,
Yep.
if you're going to be doing this isn't a cash grab where you guys get in and out, right, and make a whole bunch of money. It's a journey. And so if you're going to do this, you might want to make sure you're doing it the right way. And your reputation is key. You want to make sure that you're not taking advantage of people and that you're doing everything ethical, and surround yourself with people who are doing it the same way. Because you know what, like what Dave said, it just takes one slip up and you could have somebody knocking at your door you don't want to be talking to. Okay. So making sure, what our coach tells us is, success is what?
A good night's sleep.
A good night's sleep, y'all. You don't want to be sleeping with one eye open all night long, wondering if your door is going to get kicked down by some.
Yeah. You'll be waking up in the middle of the night worrying about whatever transaction that they're going to use David's team, but you don't have to worry about other things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I appreciate your thoroughness. I appreciate your time.
You're welcome. I was gonna say, I always tell people, I don't want to be in Walmart at 10 o'clock on a Friday night and some woman start yelling, "You screwed me." Right. It's not that important. None of these deals are that important to be put in that position.
People over profits. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you, David. We appreciate you. I cannot wait to give you a big old bear hug next week.
Oh, it's going to be fantastic. You guys are close, right?
Oh, yeah. Hop, skip, and a jump.
Yeah. So we're just we're actually going to be staying right in Tampa. So we don't have to drive that 45-minute commute.
Yep.
And so we're really excited about just getting to hang out and talk about real estate for some days here and meet surround yourself with some awesome people. So guys, once again, so excited. Thank you so much for Dave.
Thanks,
I've been
David.
wanting to have you on here for so long. Dream come true. Check mark. We did it, y'all.
Oh, you guys are making me blush. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to come back on sometime. We can talk about how we did all our owner finance deals or whatever you want. I'm happy to come on and provide as much value for y'all.
That'd be fun too.
We'll talk about that next week when we see you, and we owe you a drink.
Awesome. We'll see you guys later. Thank you for tuning in.
I will definitely take that.
We'll have no live next week. We'll be in Tampa, as we said, but stay tuned for the following week as we come here every Tuesday, 2 p.m. Eastern. Thanks, guys.
See you guys. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Dave.